Welcome. Welcome, welcome. This is our second last Energy Wednesday of this season. So thank you so much for all coming and supporting this and coming along to support yourself as well for these sessions. It's been a really lovely thing to do. I just thought, oh, I'll just do this for a few weeks over the summer, and then I've really enjoyed it. And that's one of the wonderful things about working with the energies of our body, is that if you're doing it as part of your vocation and your job, you actually benefit from it and you actually feel a lot better. So all of these people think that we're terribly selfless and that we're doing this just for the good of other people. We're actually learning how to put ourselves first, and it's been a difficult thing for me to do. And it's a continuing journey, but it's something that I always feel very much better from. And we're not in isolation. I definitely think that that's one of the big things that the last 2 to 3 years now have shown us. Although we were isolating ourselves in our little bubbles, we were finding more and more ways to connect with each other. And from an energy point of view, we are wired to connect with each other. And last week, we continued on a theme of the seasons, and we are now, certainly all of us here in this call are in the Northern Hemisphere. And I'm aware that there are people who watch the recording who maybe are in New Zealand, and it's very early in the morning for them, or in Australia, or in another time zone. And also, if anybody's watching from Africa, where they don't have the seasons, they have a wet season and they have a rainy season, it's slightly different. But we were continuing with this season of autumn, and how we are very much part of nature, and it's about getting into the rhythms of nature, connecting with ourselves as being part of with another person from Scotland joining us, being part of the rhythm of nature, and beginning to let go as we come into the winter months. And I thought today it might be a little bit of fun. Those of you that have trained in Eden Energy Medicine will know about the radiant circuits. Some of you who might have done some Jinshin or some other forms of maybe shiatsu will know about the extraordinary meridians. And in Jinshin, they're called the rivers of splendor. So I'm not going to cover them as well. There's a couple of things that I can do that covers the rivers of splendor. But basically, these are amazing energies in our system that really they remind us that we are wired to survive. But we are wired to survive and thrive. It's not just about keeping our heart beating, which is obviously very important for us to continue to be on this planet, but we're much more than that. So I thought today we could play a little bit with the energies of the radiant circuits. I already saw one person put her hand up and wave and cheer there, so that's wonderful, and it's a lovely thing to be doing together. So the radiant circuits, I'm not going to talk too much, but I'm calling them that because that's the energy that's how Donna Eden sees them. And they are the energies that basically connect us to the source of who we really are, our absolute, and Jinshin Tara, they call it, our original brilliance. So it's actually Mary Burmeister who transmitted Jinshin from Jiri Mirai, and actually I believe that Jinshin is actually older than acupuncture itself. And she said, be the star that you are. And that's really what they are. They're reminding us about being being our inner brilliance, being the star that we are, and that we don't need to we're not broken. We don't need to get fixed. As much as we're always trying to look outside of ourselves, it's actually coming back into that, we have everything that we need. It's a very difficult journey. Our whole society is built up around that. I'm, as many of you know, I work in women's health, and there's an epidemic just now, certainly in the UK, maybe not, I don't think so much in the US, but there's an epidemic of menopause. It's that we must get fixed, we must get our testosterone, we must get this, because we are incomplete without it. And it's how we can find ways, not saying that we don't use products, but actually there's many ways that we can work with ourselves and accepting ourselves through different seasons of our life, and how we can cope with the energies of change. So first of all, as I said, that these energies are very much involved about, connecting us with source, and they're the energies that really bathe this developing baby. One of the ladies here was on my 9-week course called The Embodied Soul, and we went into a lot of depth through the 9 months of development and how the extraordinary meridians are associated with them. But today we're just going to play. We're just going to actually do the exercises, and I would love to hear how you get on with them. So I'll obviously post this on as a replay by email, and I have a YouTube channel, which is Dr. Claire at Bridging the Healthcare Gap. So rather than going back to all of your old emails, you can go onto that channel and watch any of the recordings. Okay, so first of all, we're going to shake our hands, rub our hands even. We're going to shake them off. We're going to put our hands on our thighs. And we're going to breathe. And smile. And breathe. And smile. We can bring our hands right up to the sky, and then down with our hands together, down to our heart, into what's called either the Anjali Mudra or Palm Inju. And Inju is just another word for mudra or hand position. And the affirmation for this is, I am the divine presence in the honorific center of the universe. So this is about being selfish. It's about putting yourself first, because we are divine and we've been given this body to continue to be to fulfill our destiny in this lifetime, and that's what the radiant circuits are all about. So we all know the exercise connecting heaven and earth, and we go back down to our thighs. This is a good one just to bring us into transition from one state to another. We reach up again and come back down to this position. And so whenever you're doing this connecting heaven and earth, just remember this Palm Inju. And stretch up, either to the ceiling, imagine the skies above that, down to the floor or the earth below, back down to the center, back up again. You look down, look up, giving yourself a nice stretch. Back down again, stretch up, and look down. And this time we're going to come down to our feet. I'm going to hold onto my big toe and my little toe. And if you can't reach, that's fine. We'll take a couple of breaths. And then we come along the inside of our feet, then up the inside of our legs, up to our hips, cross over, up the outside edge of our abdomen, up to our armpits. And we can do a nice big figure of 8. We can tap it, so we can give it a little bit of, a little rub. So I mentioned that in our radiant circuits, it's about actually we want to not just survive, but thrive as well. And that's bringing our fight flight survival into a state of safety, saying that, actually, we are okay. Our bodies, we are safe, and so it can begin to settle and allow us to shine our light. So we're going to put our hands over our eyes, just cover our eyes, and just take a breath. We'll take 2 or 3 breaths here. Then we're going to stretch our forehead. Then come out to the sides of our eyes, out to our ears, then up over the back of our ears, down our neck, and hang down on our shoulders. Like I've shared before, that this in Jinshin is coming down to point 11, so our offloading. Then we can cross our hands over. We can give a little bit of a rub into these lovely points under our collarbones. And then down the outside of our arms, to the side of our breasts. Come back down the front and the outside of our abdomen. And then come down the front and outside of our legs, down to our knees, straight down and off our second toe. So there we come off the stomach meridian. And we're going to start back at our big toe, along the inside of our foot, the inside of our legs, up to our hips, and we'll just hold there for our breath. Then cross over, just come across our hips, up to our armpits, and then down and out into our aura. And we can just give a little bit of a figure of 8 and feel out into our aura. And then bring our hands up. I'm just adding this down and back down to our palm inju. So what we covered there was, we covered this, it's called Cover Our Eyes, and that's working with our triple warmer and our spleen meridian. And we cover, I don't think there's one Wednesday that goes past without us tracing our spleen at least 2 or 3 times. So in case you hadn't noticed that, we'll just trace spleen once more, because that is our major, it's our big nurturer. It's a earth energy, it's our mother energy, and well, we can't be born, so far we can't be born without a mother. So let's come up to our one hand breadth under our armpits, just hold here, come up to our armpits, come down the front and the sides of our body, and then come down the inside of our legs and off at our big toe. And we can just hold there for a second. Take a breath. And then come up from our big toe along the inside of our foot, up the inside of our legs, over our hips, up to our armpits, and then back down again. And we're going to give it a little figure of 8. And we're going to do that 2 more times. For our big toe, along the bottom of our feet, up the inside of our legs, up and down. And then a 3rd time, along the inside of our foot, up the inside of our legs, cross over, up to our armpits and down. So that's a spleen, and in Jinshin, that relates to what's called the 13 flow, and the 13 flow is known as the mother. And if we take our fingers in between our breasts, We've done the full flow already before, but just in between our breaths and another 3-finger notch at the curve of our head, where the head meets the neck. It's where it's on either side of what in Eden energy medicine is known as the power point, but we're touching into the soft parts. And we're just going to hold this here. And we smile. So you can hold this hookup for as long as you like. There are many hookups that we do, and basically a hookup is just connecting 2 points of the body. The hookup that is known best in Eden energy medicine is putting 2 fingers into your tummy button and 2 fingers above the bridge of your nose at your third eye, pushing at your tummy button and pulling up and pushing in gently above the bridge of your nose and pulling and pushing up. And what this is doing is connecting our central and governing meridians, which are known as Ren and Du in the Chinese tradition. But we want to do a little bit more than that. You can hold this for a long period of time, or you can even just bring it to your mind immediately, like I need to hook up. But to do it in a radiant way, we can put our hands at our pubic bone, and I'm just going to turn this like this. Let me put our hands at the pubic bone here, and come up to our bottom lip and out. Then starting again at the pubic bone, up and out. Third time, and out. So I'm zipping myself up and I'm making myself available. And the last time, up to the heavens and stretching out. And then we're coming to the governing, so to our sacrum, stretching up as far as we can go, reaching over, stretching up over our head and down, and doing a little figure of 8. So I'm mixing and matching a little bit. We have previously covered what is known as the main central vertical flow, which is like a series of hookups. We put our right hand on the top of our head, and we just hold it just gently. We're connecting in with the structures in our brain, like our pineal gland, our pituitary gland, our major hormonal centers. And then we're putting our hand on the tip of our nose, or our left hand on the tip of our nose. Smile. And if this gets tiring for you, you can either find you can lie down, or find rest against a table. Then or you can swap your hands over. Bring your hands to your throat, your left hand to your throat. Remembering that you are the divine presence in the honorific center of the universe. And then to this point in between the breasts. It's more at the base of the sternum, actually. And if it's sore for you, just take a rest. Then down just above the belly button. And then down to your pubic bone, and bring your other hand to your coccyx. Just as well, we don't have our friends coming on today. Just careful who I let into the waiting room. And then we're putting our hands to our groin point. And many people know this is stomach 30, and it's a major point for what's called the Chong Mai, or the penetrating flow. And the hand that was at the coccyx, we're going to take it to the base of our foot. So one hand here at the groin, and the other hand at the foot. You can take very, very, very much longer doing this flow. So when I say the base of the foot, is at the mound of the big toe and the sole of the foot. And then on the other side. So if it's too much for you to do the full flow, all you can do, and it's a really lovely thing, all you can do is just put your hands in at the groin and at the sole of your foot. So this helps certain gates open up to let energies of the penetrating flow come in. And before we come to that, we're going to come directly behind the navel to this point called the Ming Men. We're going to give it a little bit of a rub. It's on either side of the spine, directly behind the navel. Give it a bit of a rub and a stretch. And then we're going to come and do what's called the belt flow. So we're going to come round from the back of our navel. And then we're going to cross over to the opposite leg and opposite hip, and down the opposite leg and up the foot. And then back on the other side. Round to the hip, down the opposite leg and off the foot. And we can do that once more on either side. It's really important between the top and the bottom of our bodies to connect them. Sometimes we just get so cut off with our thinking. Oh. And then down. And then we come back here to this point in the penetrating flow, the Ming Men. Give it another bit of a rub. Take a breath in and out, down to the sacrum. Just give it a little bit of a rub here on either side. Take a breath in and out. Then come round your hips like a horseshoe. Come to this point that we were holding with the foot. This point is called Wash Your Heart with Laughter. Then come up the front of our chest, inside of the breast, to our face, and then with our index fingers, stretch our top lip and come down to our heart. So we come there once again to the Ming Men. Give it a little bit of a stretch. Nice big breath. Come down to the sacrum. Another little bit making space. Round our hips. Hold on this point, giving thanks. Come up the front of the body to our face, stretch over here, giving us a facelift, and come down to your heart. And I'm just going to finish with the 9 hearts. Those of you who know that the radiant circuits, because I've brought in a couple of other things and other flows, I've not covered them all. Last week we covered the regulator flows, which was about, working with energies of change. But we're just going to finish with 9 hearts. So we're going to do 1 heart over the center, another heart over our center, and a third one. And then the next 3 hearts we can do a little bit bigger. So up to our face and down to the pubic bone, up our central meridian and round. Up, zipping our energies up and round. And the last 3, if we can do it, we're going to do a total body heart. So right up, over the top of our heads, round, right down to our feet, right up the center, the divine center of our honorific universe with our hands in this palm inju, up, round. I don't know if that was 3 times, we'll just do one last one. And then back down to our center. And just before we finish, we can do lots of figure of 8s. We've been working with our energies. We can give some to those of us that are on Zoom together, anybody that's going to be watching it, anybody that's connected with this and beyond. And we can bring some back to ourselves. Then finally, rub our hands, shake them off, bring our hands up to the heavens and just to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And that you can give me some more. And take it, more radiance, and take it into our heart. So remembering that you are the star, be the star that you are, because we are already brilliant, we are already radiant, and it's just that we need to remind ourselves of that, and working with the energies of our body in a very conscious way can really help bring ourselves back to who we are, and then we can share it with others. So thank you so much for being on this journey with me with the Energy Wednesdays. We've got one more to go, and I will have plenty of other offerings in time, but yeah, I felt this cycle was, I needed a little bit of a break between from that and the next thing that I'm going to be bringing forward. So we shall certainly be continuing this, and feel free to to drop me a line, to contact me. I also do one-to-one sessions, and I do do teaching as well. So I'll be announcing my next level 1 classes for next year shortly. But I'm going to stop the recording just now, and those of us that are on the call just now can have a little chat. Stop.